Khawarizmi High School, the Directorate of Marrakesh, the Regional Academy of Marrakesh Safi. Good morning, all second-year baccalaureate students across Morocco. Good morning, dear viewers and followers. Welcome to this new video from the second-year baccalaureate English program series. As for the newcomers, you can either follow me or catch me on my YouTube channel. Please try to subscribe and at the same time try to click on the notification bell to receive my latest videos and my recent videos. If you do not opt for YouTube, you can also log into my Facebook page and you can find all the previous and the updated videos on my Facebook page, which is entitled English for All, as you can see on the screen here. Today, as you will see, we're going to deal with a very important grammar lesson, a lesson that you have already studied with your teachers at the Common Core classes and during the first year baccalaureate, okay? And we're going to end up with a wrap-up of all the structures and all the forms and all the uses of these structures. So please stay with me here. We're going to start with a very simple activity, and I would like to create some kind of interaction through the video between me and you. I'm going to give you certain situations, and I want you to give me the conclusion. So here you are. That's what we have here. You're going to answer the following question here. What happens if? Please remember, what happens if? So the first situation that we're going to start with in order to actually deal with today's grammar lesson is this. We have the first situation is you put water at 100 degrees Celsius. You put water on fire. A fire which is at 100 degrees Celsius. So in your opinion, what happens if you do that or if you do this? So the result is what we are actually looking for. So I want you to come up with the result. So the exact result is that if you put water at 100 degrees Celsius, the water what? Boils. Okay? And the vapor starts coming up. Okay? So we have, if you put water at 100 degrees Celsius, it boils. What's the conclusion? The conclusion is this. If you put water at 100 degrees Celsius, what's the result? The result is it boils. That's the situation. Repeat after me, please. If you put water at 100 degrees Celsius, it boils. Repeat it once again, and twice, and 3 times. If you put water at 100 degrees Celsius, it boils. So as you can see here, in this situation, we have 2 clauses. We have the first part and the second part. So in grammar, we actually name the first part the if clause. That's what we call the first part. And the second part here is called the main clause. So as you can see, we have 2 clauses. We have the if clause and we have the main clause. So if you put water at 100 degrees Celsius, it boils. Let's have a look at the structure of this statement. So we have the structure, the grammatical structure of this statement is as follows. So what do we have in the if clause? We have the word if plus which tense? If you put, it's the present simple. We have the present simple. And then we have the main clause. In the main clause there is subject plus the verb boil in which tense? In the present simple as well. Plus present simple. Very nice. So as you can see here, we start the statement with if. I will come back to the word here at the beginning, the initial word that we have at this statement. Plus the present simple, it gives us, or it results in subject plus the present simple. So it becomes, if you put water at 100 degrees Celsius, it boils. So what do we have here? What does this word express? So I want you to read the statement again and again and try to tell me what does this word here express. So the word if expresses condition. It's as if you say that there is one condition. If you want this result, we need to fulfill or to carry out this condition. This condition should be fulfilled, should be realized and achieved. Thus, we say, if you put water at 100 degrees Celsius, it boils. That's the result of this condition. So, as you can see here, from the first statement, you will actually come up with today's lesson. So, we have the word condition. We're going to talk today about conditional statements or conditionals, because we have different types and forms of conditional. So what conditional do you think is this? We have if plus present simple. It gives us, or it results in subject plus the present simple. This is conditional. Conditional, let's write it here. Type 0. That's what we call it. We call it conditional type 0. Let's now have a look at the use. What do we use this conditional for? Or when do we need to use conditional type 0? So as you can see here, from the statement that we have, if you put water at 100 degrees Celsius, it boils. We're talking about something like a scientific what? A scientific truth. Something which is true, that we cannot actually deny, that we cannot defy, because it is normally stated through what? Scientific experimentation. This is something which is true and cannot be removed, cannot be denied or defied. So we use conditional type 0 to talk about general truths or facts, things which are factual, that we cannot change in nature, things which are proved scientifically. So we use type 0 to talk about general truths or facts. That's it. Let's move now to the next type. So as you can see, we have changed the question here. In the previous type, we actually had what happens if. Now we have what will happen if. What's the situation that we have here? The situation is this. You work out a lot. Work out simply means make a lot of exercises. Not classroom exercises, but physical exercises. To do some kind of sports. Physical exercise. Okay? If you work out a lot, what's the result? The result is this. You will be in good what? In good physical condition. You work out a lot, you actually take up a lot of physical exercise. The result is this: you will be in good physical condition. It means that you will be strong and you will be fit. That's the result. So what's the conclusion? Let's write the full statement. So we have if, that's the first word as we said, it expresses condition. So if you work out a lot, comma, it's very important, you will be We can write you will be fit, or you will be strong, or you will be in good physical condition. That's the result. That's the conclusion. If you work out a lot, you will be in good physical condition. Okay? So we have the structure is as follows. If plus, what do we have here? The verb is in which tense? If you work, or if he works. So it's in the present what? The present simple. Then we have comma. The result, the main clause, is in which form or in which tense? It is subject plus will be. That's future simple. So we have if plus present simple, it results in, or it gives us subject plus the future simple. So please repeat after me. If you work out a lot, you will be in good physical condition. Or if you want to actually have a very simple and clear example, we can say, if you work hard, you will what? You will succeed. If you work hard, you will succeed. So, we're going to look now at the use. So when do we use this conditional? So, it's conditional type what? It's not type 0, because we have if plus present simple. It gives us subject plus future simple. This is conditional type 1. So please remember, we have seen conditional type 0, and now we are looking into conditional type 1. What's the use? So we have the the conditional or conditional type 1 is used to talk about possible or likely. So as you can see here, we have possible or likely actions or situations or happenings, if you want, in the future. Possible or likely actions, situations, or events, if you want, events in the future. So that's conditional type 1. Look at the structure. If you work out a lot, you will be in good physical condition. We have if plus the present simple of the verb. Here we have a phrasal verb, work out. The result is in the future simple. The use is possible or likely actions, situations, events in the future. Let's now move to the next type. We have seen type 0, type 1. Now we're going to move to the next type. Please remember that the first question was, in type 0, what happens if? The question in type 1, what will happen if? Look at this question here. What would happen if? What would happen if? Please answer the question or answer the situation here. What would happen if I were a billionaire? If you have much money, if you have a lot of money, if you were a famous businessman, a successful engineer or doctor, what would you do? What would happen? So the result is, we have many choices. If I were a billionaire, for example, I would, the answer, I would build schools everywhere. Look at this statement, look at this situation, please. I were a billionaire, so we have if I were a billionaire. The answer to what would happen if I were a billionaire? I would build schools everywhere. Schools for students, okay? I would build schools everywhere. So the statement or the conclusion is as follows. If I were, here we use were instead of was. Grammatically, was is correct, but it's preferable to use were in conditional sentences. If I were a billionaire, comma, I would build schools everywhere. That's a noble result, okay? A noble action to take and a noble dream for very rich people. So, if I were a billionaire, I would build schools everywhere. Let's have a look at the structure. Here we have the conditional expression, which is if plus what? We have the past simple. The past simple, what's the result? It gives us, or it results in subject plus would plus what? Build. Infinitive verb. Or if you want, verb in the infinitive form. So we have if plus past simple, the subject plus would or infinitive verb. Or verb form if you want. Look at this statement once again and repeat after me. If I were a billionaire, I would build schools everywhere. If I were a very rich man, I would build schools everywhere. That's the result. Okay, that's the result. So now we're going to look at the use. When do we use this type? What type is it first? Let's have a look at the type. Let's decide about the type. So we have seen conditional type 0 and conditional type 1. Now it's conditional type 2. It is also called imaginary. Conditional. Why do we call it imaginary conditional? Because we are just imagining something which is not true, something which is not possible, which is impossible in the present. Okay? So here we use, of course, we use the past simple to talk about the present, if you want, dream, the present imaginary situation. That's why we call it imaginary conditional, because it's as if you are what? As if you are dreaming about something. Something which is not possible now. Okay? So if I were, but I am not in reality, if I were a billionaire, I would build schools everywhere. Okay? If I were a billionaire, I would build schools everywhere. That's it. So we use conditional type 2 to talk about impossible or, if you want, unlikely. Impossible or unlikely situations in the present. Something which is not possible in the present. We're just imagining. So that's why we call it imaginary conditional or conditional type 2. That's it. Let's move now to the last type, the last, if you want, form of conditional sentences. Please, let's actually have a look at the question once again. What would have happened if? So please pay attention. Would have happened if. What's the situation? The situation is this. You had studied well. Had studied means revised and reviewed your lessons very well. You prepared very well for the exam. So, the result. What is the result? You had studied well. You would have. Where is this would have? It's in the question here. what would have happened? You would have succeeded or you would have passed the exam. So, the situation is, you had studied well, you would have passed the exam. Let's write the full conclusion. If you had studied very well, comma, the result or the conclusion is you would have passed, and please, pass here, pass an exam in English, it means succeed in the exam. Okay, make it in the exam, passed the exam. It's not like the word in French, passer un examen. Sit for an exam. That's, the exact equivalent or synonym in the English language, to sit for an exam. So the conclusion is, if you had studied very well, you would have passed the exam. The real thing here is that this person, or this student, or this boy or girl, did not study very well, for the exam. They hadn't prepared very well. So the result is that they missed it. They failed the exam. So we make what? An imaginary situation in the past. If you had prepared, if you had studied very well, you would have passed the exam. What's the structure? The structure is if plus you had studied, it's the past perfect, as you can see. Comma, what's the result or the conclusion? It's subject plus would and have on one phrase. Please do not split them, do not separate them. So would and have on one phrase, plus past, it's the past participle, le participe passé, participle of the verb, past participle. And we have already talked about this. You remember when I gave you the example, do, did, done. That's the past participle. And this one is the past simple. We're talking about the past participle of the verb. So if plus past perfect gives us or results in the subject plus would have plus the past participle. Okay? Would have plus the past participle. So the use. When do we use? What type of conditional is this first? So as you can see from the structure, we will actually and definitely say that it's type 3, because we have if plus past perfect, it results in would have plus the past participle. So what's the use? When do we use conditional type 3? So the uses of conditional type 3 are various. We can use it to express what? Regret. And we can also use it to express wishes in the past. And we can also use it to talk about unreal and imaginary situations in the past. Unreal, imaginary, situations in the past. If I had done something in the past, something would have happened now. So we're just making what? An imaginary situation in the past. Unreal, imaginary situations in the past. Okay? So as you can see here, we have talked about type 0, type 1, 2, and 3. We still have something very important, please, I would like to add. So as you can see, we're going to erase the board here in order to draw your attention to a very important thing. So let's have a look at this sentence. Let's take, for example, type 2. If I worked hard, I would succeed. So, as you can see here, we have, as I said at the beginning, the if clause. And here we have the main clause. And what we have here is a comma. This comma here is very essential and necessary whenever we start the statement or the conditional statement with if at the beginning. If I worked hard, I would succeed. When do we drop it? When does this comma become unessential and necessary? It's when we start with the main clause, because we have this possibility. We can say, I would succeed, and then we have if in the middle. I would succeed if I worked hard. The comma here is not necessary. We do not need to use the comma because we started with the main clause, and we actually put, if you want, and placed the if clause in the second or in the end of the statement, the second, if you want, position of the statement. I would succeed if I worked hard. I would succeed, or I'd succeed if I worked hard. Is that clear? So this is all for now. Thank you so much for following me on this video. Please, if you want previous videos and more videos about second year English program, don't hesitate to go to my YouTube channel, as you can see here. Or if you do not opt for YouTube, please log into my Facebook page, which is entitled English for All, as you can see here. Thank you so much for following, and see you in another video. Goodbye, everyone.